Sorry for making a reservation and all, but nobody else besides you is going to that place.
The dishes are already being served. I don't know where you are, but hurry up and come here.
I'm saying we're not going, alright? We'll have our own fun, so just handle it yourself.
I have to somehow get them to come. After all, this shop is. Supervisor, if you don't come right now, things will be really bad tomorrow, you know? If I say it this forcefully, maybe it'll get through to them a bit. Right after those words, uproarious laughter echoed from the speaker of the smartphone.
What do you mean something's going to happen to me, the one who's valued by the company? Are you saying I'll get fired?
Honestly, from the company's perspective, Supervisor Jason is more valuable as a talent than I am. The department he's in charge of has been achieving excellent results. Our positions are different. I'm just a lackey by the window in that department. Nevertheless, I persist and continue to call Jason, emphasizing my words, in order to persuade him. Anyway, this shop here is frequented by some shady characters. So please, come.
Is it run by one of our clients' CEOs? If so, I'll go, but it's not, right?
Well, it's not exactly.
Don't beat around the bush. You still hold a grudge from a year ago when I took credit for your accomplishment, don't you?
It would be a lie to say that I don't harbor those feelings. But right now, such old grudges don't matter. It's not about that.
Persistent, aren't you? Sort out the shop issue yourself.
With a dismissive remark, Jason unilaterally ended the call. I immediately redialed, but a robotic voice informed me. This phone number cannot be reached, indicating that the call had been rejected. Left alone in the room, I felt dizzy at the sight of the sea of dishes before me. What am I going to do with this? It was obvious, but the amount was far beyond what one person could handle. I was at a loss, unable to do anything but stare blankly. The vast room echoed with silence and a sense of despair. Then, the head chef of the restaurant appeared.
You seemed quite flustered. Is everything all right?
Well, it's rather embarrassing, but... Despite the reservation time passing, only one person had shown up. Furthermore, they seemed bewildered, making calls, then falling silent after each conversation. It was a worrying situation even from the chef's perspective. It's decision time. With determination, I raised my voice. I'm sorry, but the remaining 22 people won't be coming. The head chef, taken aback, asked.
Okay, if you don't mind. Could you explain the situation?
Frozen by the unexpected reaction, it must have seemed like a misunderstanding skit to an outsider. After several exchanges, I confessed everything to the head chef. The words I received from the earnest listener were unexpected.
Thank you for telling me. Next week, I'll make the declaration to fire the 22 employees from your company.
Wait, what are you suddenly saying?
It's not a sudden proposal. Michael, you noticed that and used it as a threat, didn't you?
The head chef, as he said that, directed his gaze in that direction. There was a sepia-toned photo starting to fade, showing two young men happily arm in arm.
Otherwise, words like "you better come quickly" wouldn't come out. Well, leave it to me,
said the head chef. Then, at least for the cost of the meal.
Just your consideration is enough. We'll take care of the food here. Also, could you tell me the name and phone number of the person you spoke with on the phone earlier?
The head chef was smiling, but his eyes weren't. Feeling an unfathomable fear from his demeanor, I left my payment and Jason's supervisor's name and phone number before heading home. Can the chef at the restaurant really fire employees from the company where I work? Sorry, I have something to tell you all, so please come to the conference room. A week later, first thing in the morning, I summoned everyone from the department to the conference room. Starting the day off with a setback, they had a disgruntled expression. It felt even worse because it was a summons from someone I had recently tricked and made fun of. Before we start work, I have something to say. Determined not to succumb to that atmosphere, I continued speaking with a firm attitude as we headed to the conference room. Sensing the unusual atmosphere, They came together reluctantly, their steps heavy. "Hey, where's Jason?" When I called out, Jason, who should have been in the department, was nowhere to be seen. Although he must have heard me, it seemed like he had no intention of coming. With no other choice, I decided to make everyone wait and search for him. Seriously, where is he at a time like this? He's always been disrespectful towards me. It seems he doesn't like following orders. When I returned to the department, Jason was sitting at his desk, looking at his phone. "Jason, I need to talk to you, so please come to the conference room quickly. Everyone else is already there."
Huh? Why should I have to listen to you? Instead, tell everyone to come back to the department. Get back to work quickly. Seriously.
As expected, Jason couldn't hide his irritation at my instructions. He raised his voice and refused to listen, completely disregarding my words. This is an important discussion, and the supervisor needs to hear it too. I urged desperately, trying to get him to come to the conference room. But it seemed he didn't like my attitude.
Who do you think you're talking to, acting all high and mighty? Just listen to what I'm saying.
I'm not trying to act high and mighty. We argued back and forth, voices echoing within the department.
What's all the commotion about?
It was the president passing by. With a furrowed brow, the president approached us, the source of the loud voices.
What's going on with you two? Perfect timing. Jason, I have something to discuss. You're fired as of today.
What? Huh? What did you just say, President?
Taken aback by the sudden news, the supervisor turned pale and questioned the president. It was quite comical to see someone's eyes widen in such a manner for the first time.
Didn't you hear me? I said you no longer need to come to this company.
The president reiterated. With a brisk tone, the words were arranged, and Chief Jason's shoulder was tapped twice. The president's expression clearly oozed anger at that moment. This is no joke. Jason must have understood that as well.
Why? I haven't done anything.
Haven't done anything, you say?
The president sighed heavily, alternating his gaze between me and Jason.
If you want to know why, go to the conference room. Then you'll understand.
With that, the president announced and left the department.
What on earth is going on?
Confused, Jason, with a sharp vertical line forming on his forehead, followed the president slightly behind, heading to the conference room together.
Hey. Finally. You've come.
The argument with Jason seemed to have taken more time than expected. Subordinates were also confused by the unfamiliar visitor.
Well, now that everyone's here.
Surveying the conference room, the president took a deep breath and then glared at Jason.
This person here today is the chef from the restaurant you were supposed to visit the other day.
Realizing it was an unexpected person, the conference room fell even quieter. The subordinates also lowered their gaze with awkward expressions, looking down. However, that silence was short-lived.
Oh, and by the way, this person is also my brother. Do you understand what that means?
The shocking revelation left everyone visibly unsettled. Jason, in particular, turned pale, almost white.
When I took over the company our father built, it was originally intended for my brother to inherit. But he entrusted it to me, believing in me. I will always be grateful for that trust.
Well, I always wanted to pursue the culinary path. Besides, you're better suited for this kind of thing.
The decision of who would inherit was made by a coin toss. However, both sides of the coin were tails, which the president had chosen. The two reminisced nostalgically, sharing stories with everyone. They were close brothers, still trusting each other deeply. But Jason and the subordinates were preoccupied with something else entirely. As they listened, their eyes grew increasingly distant.
So, you see, this disrespect was directed towards my dear brother. Jason, you understand the reason for your dismissal now, don't you?
Jason realized the magnitude of his actions. Tears welled up in his eyes, indicating his profound confusion.
Being fired. It's really troubling.
Clutching his head, He desperately pleaded for forgiveness from the president. His frantic gesture was uncharacteristic of his usual demeanor.
Yes. This whole thing was Michael's doing. He must have been upset about not getting credit and lashed out, right?
Facing the imminent reality of being fired and in a tight spot, Jason glared at me and pointed his finger. His intense expression and loud voice made his accusation seem almost believable. What are you talking about? Didn't I say clearly? I have no idea what's going on. I certainly didn't like Jason. However, since it was work, I had to accept it. But this time, his actions caused considerable trouble for others, making it unforgivable. I resolved in my heart that his wrongdoing needed to be publicly acknowledged to somehow make him reflect on his actions. It was a kind of gamble. Chef, you asked for my phone number, which means you've implemented the system we discussed, right?
Of course. It's already in place. That's why I looked into it.
The chef took out a tablet from his bag. Projected on the screen were Jason's name and date of birth. Everyone except me and the chef started murmuring, wondering what was going on. This system was developed as a measure against last-minute cancellations, a common issue in the restaurant industry in recent years.
We had an incident like this in the past, so we registered for it. And when I looked it up, this phone number matched. This person is really something.
After saying that, the head chef proceeded to the next page. On the following page, an unbelievable scene unfolded before our eyes. The head chef remarked,
This person, Jason, seems to be quite a habitual offender, having caused even compensation disputes in the past.
As we examined his history of last-minute cancellations displayed on the projector, it was astounding how frequently and consistently he could cause such disturbances. Not only was the quantity staggering, but the frequency was also remarkable. Roughly, he would cause a commotion every 2 months, and at times, even as frequently as once a week. Witnessing the extent of his misconduct, I couldn't help but be speechless. The president said,
Jason, could you show me your phone for a moment? I'd like to confirm if the phone number displayed on the projector matches yours.
Unable to defy the president's instructions, Jason reluctantly handed over his phone. After unlocking it, we compared the numbers once again. Sure enough, they matched Jason's. It seemed there was no escape from the truth anymore. The revelation of such a shocking truth caused a commotion in the room. Everyone felt that this couldn't be brushed off as a mere prank. It was the head, Jason, who changed the atmosphere of the meeting room. Suddenly, he raised his voice and began to prostrate himself on the floor.
I am truly sorry.
He exclaimed.
From the stress of everyday life, I acted impulsively. I apologize sincerely.
With his head bowed to the ground, he shifted gears to full-on apology mode. It was clear he was desperate to salvage the situation.
I'll change my ways from now on. I promise I won't do it again, so please, just don't fire me. Please, everyone, say something. Aren't you all accomplices too? Besides, without me, work will be difficult, won't it?
Scanning the room, he tried to involve everyone to tilt the situation in his favor. His subordinates, who had been bystanders until now, couldn't stay silent any longer.
That's not true. We were just following orders from you, forced to do things against our will. We're not responsible.
They hurriedly countered, fearing they would also be held accountable. Merely following orders from a superior doesn't excuse being fired. Their collective anxiety led to a chaotic rush of objections, making the situation increasingly uncontrollable. While I can't say they're entirely blameless from my perspective.
Let's calm down for a moment. We can investigate whether coercion was involved later.
With the president's words, the heated atmosphere in the meeting room cooled down.
Also, regarding this incident and the fact that you are on the blacklist. Now that this is known, Jason, your dismissal won't be rescinded. That's final.
But I have my daughter's tuition and the mortgage to pay.
This time, he tried to revoke the decision with tears, but it seemed to have no effect.
I don't care about that. Since I have no intention of arranging your next job either, you'll have to find it yourself. Let's go, brother.
Yeah. Let's go eat something delicious.
The president and the head chef left the room swiftly. In the room where the matter was settled, there was a sense of despair from Jason and frustration from his subordinates. As for me, there was an indescribable sense of accomplishment in the air. Days later, Chief Jason left the company. It seemed he realized the president's resolve was firm.
Why'd I have to go through this? It's all because of you.
You brought this upon yourself. I told you it would be better to come. He shot me a resentful glare as he packed his belongings, seeming too worn out to argue further. It seems Jason voluntarily resigned the next day.
I'll leave this department and let the performance drop. Well, do your best.
With a snide remark, Jason disappeared from the department. In the end, it seems he won't repent. I muttered softly as I watched Jason's shrinking figure. Later, it was said that Jason was billed the full amount for the last-minute cancellation by the chef. Unable to escape the situation, he immediately paid with his head bowed.
Where did all that bravado go? He just kept his head down, paid, and left right away.
The head chef told me about the incident.
With that attitude, he won't find a job anytime soon.
His wife must be going through a lot too. As predicted, Jason still hasn't become a full-time employee. He works part-time day and night to cover his living expenses. Subordinates spotted Jason in work clothes at a convenience store at night. It seemed he was working as a laborer at a nearby construction site. Wearing dirty clothes, he lacked his previous air of intimidation and his eyes seemed empty. Looking very tired, he was staring at discounted lunchboxes, but the subordinates said they couldn't bring themselves to approach him. However, it doesn't end there. Jason was also billed by other restaurants. In total, he received invoices from 37 establishments, amounting to a staggering $32,000 in compensation. One might say he was a habitual offender. The sheer number of incidents is astonishing. I don't know how he's handling the situation. But he surely can't avoid paying. He has no choice but to continue working tirelessly. What might have seemed like a prank had severe consequences for the restaurants involved. It must have been both financially and emotionally distressing. It's truly a case of reaping what one sows, and no one will extend a helping hand. It's karma in action. On the other hand, the subordinates weren't fired since they were merely caught up in the situation. However, they did receive pay cuts for their involvement. With Jason gone, the department is now peaceful. I've been appointed as the new supervisor, chosen for my previous role in mediating and coordinating the team. It seems my efforts in handling unreasonable tasks have paid off. I believe in actively sharing ideas and moving forward in this department. Don't hesitate to propose good ideas to your superiors. I first conveyed my thoughts to everyone. The team members are capable and have potential. It's a waste if they just keep worrying about pleasing the bosses. I thought this approach would be the best way to improve the department.
Hey. Back again.
Since that day, I've become a regular at the chef's restaurant. On days when work finishes early, you can bet I'll be here. And sometimes, when I'm having a meal, the president joins me at the same table. It's only natural since it's his brother's trusted restaurant. With a bit of alcohol in our systems, we freely exchange thoughts and opinions. Even moments like these bring me immense joy. Everything is delicious. Right, Mr. President? Sure, there were many times I felt frustrated with Jason. But thanks to him, I discovered this wonderful restaurant. For that, I'll be grateful. While silently expressing my gratitude, I continue to enjoy another happy moment today.